Good evening, everyone. And once again, we're trying something a little bit different tonight, not so much in terms of content or what this is all about, in terms of timing. I am uh, very aware of trying to move things around and trying to do it so we can get more attention on some things. And what I wanted to do this week was because we had a new type of assignment to perhaps have the opportunity to wait to make my weekly video till I had absolutely had a chance to get through the entire assignment in the grading and everything. So I could throw in some comments about that. And also, as usual, look back on what we were um, basically studying last week and what we're moving into this week. And I'll try to make this as brief as I can, but still, these are important ways I have of communicating, and I want to thank you all for your attention. Right now, what I am seeing is let's talk about the assignment and the assignments in this sort of hybrid mode, um, half discussion, half paper, brief paper. Um, Range from very good to, well, be honest with you, not so good. And if there's a reason some things were very good, is because people were detailed and followed the rubric and answered the questions and were analytical and addressed the issues of the topic. In this case, it was all about organizational culture. Those that weren't so good were basically people who didn't read the rubric and people who didn't read the assignment and treated it as though it was just another discussion board, which it wasn't. And we had last week's video, I made those comments about that this was new and different and needed your attention, and it showed. Okay, so what's the lesson here? The lesson is attention to detail. The lesson is understanding an assignment before you attempt to do it, and also making sure that you avail yourself of all the resources available within the course, whether it's from something like the instructions for performing an assignment or special considerations in a discussion, to actually making sure that you have engaged with the material and are using that material in order to inform your discussions and your written work. Sounds like a little bit of a lecture here, right? A little bit like what you might expect from your high school teacher. But this is really important stuff, and it's also important in the world of work. And really, what are we trying to prepare for? We're trying to prepare for life after undergraduate school. And whether that life includes graduate school or just includes your professional situation, those are considerations that we need to be aware of. Start practicing with them now. That's really all we're trying to do. All right. The topic last week was corporate culture, organizational culture. To me, that's one of the more important units we will cover. Culture is all about behavior and all about what an organization actually does, how it behaves. And I said to several of you in a complimentary way when you did last week's assignment what culture really is about to me. If I have to sum it up, if you backed into a corner and said, Tom, sum up culture quickly, it comes out in that old phrase, actions speak louder than words. We can try to tell someone what our culture is. It's usually when we get that question, we describe a desired state, something we want people to think it is. But culture is only what's observed. How do you and how does your organization behave in the context of that organization? Some of it's very healthy and very productive. Some of it's almost toxic and non-productive. But the thing is, you won't recognize it by reading about it. You'll recognize it by living in it and by observing it. Actions do speak louder than words, but culture is one of the more powerful forces. To my opinion, it literally shapes how your organization runs. I don't care what the org chart looks like. I really don't care what a formal mapping of the design looks like. Culture, as Peter Drucker said, famous author Peter Drucker said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I think it's really important. Okay, this week we're now talking about another term that's very common. We hear about it every day. We think, oh, we're using it right now. Technology. And usually when we say technology these days, we think of, computers, smartphones, tablets, AI, all that kind of stuff. Technology is anything that we use to convert some condition, material, whatever, into another, to create value along a path. Technology can be something very, very simple. It can be something very, very complex. But in this new world of work that we are experiencing and will likely continue to experience as we move on past this very turbulent time, we're going to see technology play a role in that transformation and in the sustainability of whatever work models come out of this. That's why it's so important to understand the role of technology in organizational frameworks today. So that's your focus this week, to look at technology, look at how it affects behavior, how it affects culture, how then culture affects behavior. As you can see, these are highly interrelated concepts. So basically, that's what we're looking at. We've made the case for culture. Now we're looking more at an implementation, right? Technology. How does this affect us? What do we do with it? Is it something that's going to help us in some cases? Is it something that's going to define us? Are we going to define its use? Many of these questions are still unanswered. So that's the situation we're faced with. We're coming up at the end of this week, we'll be halfway through. And I think you'll see that each week we have been able to build on the previous week and on what we have discovered. And again, for many of us, we're discovering some things that we thought we knew. Now we really know. The whole idea is to come out of this course, as I said once earlier, actually to come out of each week saying, gee, never thought of it that way before. If we can accomplish that every week, I think we'll have had a success. So once again, I'm asking you to keep an open mind, keep looking beyond the obvious, look deeper than the surface question, and really get into analyzing what goes on in an organization. Look for clues of it in where you are now. Look for clues of it in places you might want to be. This is going to be very pivotal in your career going forward. Thank you again for your attention, and I'll be talking to you next week. Thank you.